Hey, welcome everybody to the Explore Traveler Show. This is your host, John Gentry. I'm coming to you kind of an undisclosed location. I am running simultaneously live on YouTube, kind of as a test just to see, how that works out. If people find the behind the images stuff more interesting, I could always, one of these days I should move the desk so I have, the backdrops a little better than my hotel room curtain. But so today I want to talk about, because I got a bunch of questions about traveling. Should I travel? Is it safe? Is it healthy? COVID, all the kinds of things related to that. Okay, so today, COVID is an issue, right? We don't want to say it's not an issue because it is. And to some people, it can be devastating, right? To 98%, the people that seem to be catching it, according to the CDC statistics, it seems to be okay. So, for me, I'm kind of in a higher risk. I've gained some weight during COVID for sure, and as I've been getting older, so I don't hike as much as I used to, and so that has had some implications on raising my blood pressure. So I'm considered higher risk, okay? But, I haven't let it slow me down. Have I been exposed to COVID? Yes. Have I gotten sick from it? No. For me personally, I just seem to have some immunities to it. We lived in Asia for many years. I don't know. Maybe we picked up immunities for SARS. I just can't say. But I think people wonder, if they feel good and they've been exposed and they never got sick, is it safe for them to fly? My personal opinion, and that is my opinion, not that of a doctor or anything like that, is I think yes. And I think we help people when we take our, especially if we're still earning money and we're spreading that money around by buying services. We help communities. And since we're kind of a network of adventure travelers, we should take that into consideration. A lot of people are in desperate shape, from the hostels to the hotels to the coffee shops. I think there's a lot to be said for just helping people by spreading our money around in these travel and these adventures that we do, right? And I'm a big fan of buying local. Obviously, getting our hiking gear and our backpacks and things like that. A lot of the shops are closed down. So you're kind of stuck with the behemoth, Amazon. But it works, Love or hate Amazon, you gotta accept the fact that they deliver your stuff, And so everything that we've needed, we've been able to get through Amazon. All right, so questions is all a bit about airports. All right, so we've been in the Southwest. Depends on where you're at. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, they got some different travel restrictions there. New Mexico is definitely the most strict. However, recently, if you go into New Mexico, you're not going into an immediate 2-week quarantine. But that is how it was in the past. Texas is loosening up their restrictions pretty quickly. And I think kind of Arizona is somewhere in the middle. But we've been in the last year, we've been in Texas airports, Albuquerque, New Mexico airports, Seattle airports, and Alaska airports, okay? And things never really did get horrible at the airports because a lot of people got freaked out and they just weren't traveling. And so you didn't really have a lot of people that you had to deal with. Going through the Albuquerque airport, going through security was like super easy. Hey, and I want to give a shout out to the TSA. Those new, what do you call them? Containers that you put your stuff in, that you go through the x-ray. They've really improved that. They're actually a decent size. You can put all your stuff inside it now. I wasn't pre-checked, so I didn't have any special privileges, but I still had to take off my shoes. But I didn't have to take my laptops out, and I carry 2 laptops, so yeah, that's kind of a big deal. I pretty much just slipped off my shoes, put everything in the container, and I was through security in less than 5 minutes. So I was pretty impressed. So Definitely big thank you to TSA for making that process better, training their people to be able to recognize, what they're seeing. I think on the X-ray machine, it has really gone a long ways. Okay, so that was Albuquerque. It was the same thing in Texas. No issues there. Seattle is a very big airport, but Seattle, there is restaurants open. And if you're traveling, from Southwest to Seattle and Seattle into Alaska at different times of the year, you're going to have long layovers. And usually you come in late at night and you got to stay in the airport, or you got to go out of the airport to get a hotel room, etc. I just stay in the airport myself. But the lay down beds in the Seattle airport are gone. All right. So there's no place to hang out. There's no lounges. All the lounges are closed down. There's some Mexican food restaurants in the central hub there. So you got food, 24-hour food. Mexican burritos, it's actually really good. Coffee, chocolate, if you like chocolate. I'm kind of a coffee fiend, so I enjoy that. As a matter of fact, I'm having some coffee right now. And so that part, I think was okay. So if you're healthy enough and you can just do that 8-hour layover right there in the Seattle airport, that's kind of what I'd recommend. Have your laptop, have your cord, be prepared to entertain yourself. So where were things different? I think the biggest difference is going into Alaska now. I think it started sometime last year and it's still going on now, is you got options, right? So if you are an Alaska ID holder, like you have an Alaska driver's license, or you are an in-state resident that is traveling from, say, Fairbanks to Juneau or to Anchorage, etc., or you're coming from out of state, but you still have Alaska ID, that there's things that you can do there. So when I came in, I did not get tested on my last time I flew before I left, because they have a 72-hour test policy. And unfortunately, that's very difficult to comply with. So it just made more sense for me to get the test when I arrived at Alaska. Now, I had never done that before, so I was a little concerned with how it would go. But you get in line, you just talk to them, you tell them, hey, yes, I'm coming from out of state. Yes, I have Alaska ID, or no, I do not have Alaska ID. And that will determine whether you pay for the test or you don't pay for the test. Okay, so if you have Alaska ID, you're not going to pay for it. If you have it, then you're not going to pay for it. So it just depends, right? Some people are considered residents, and there's different types of residency, and so you just have to decide where you fit into that. Then there is, so the test. So what are they doing for the test? They are doing what I would call the short nasal swab. And basically is the one that kind of goes all the way up into your brain. You feel like you're going to cough. They're not doing that one. They're doing a short one. Just kind of goes in there. They check it. Within 42 hours, I had my test results back, and they were negative. I've never had a positive test. I could tell you I have family members that have had 30 to 40 tests and been negative. So I know people talk about false positives, but we haven't experienced that in our family. So that's kind of the feel. You get a feel for how it was going from Southwest to Seattle, Seattle to Anchorage, and Anchorage, or Alaska in general, back, through different places. Now, if you're going to go into California or New York or Michigan or someplace where they're still in a very kind of a more tighter lockdown, you're going to have probably different results. I am careful that when I do travel, I travel in a way that doesn't enable myself or my family to have complications. I'm a kind of a big planner when it comes to traveling. I look into it. If there's going to be a long layover, and someone needs extra care, I might arrange a hotel for them so they can stay out for that 8-hour, 10-hour layover. Myself, I just stay in the airport because I'm cheap and I'm frugal, and I can't talk to you about how to be a frugal traveler if I don't know how to do it myself, right? So that's kind of the way that is, and maybe one day that changes, but I kind of enjoy doing that and seeing the people and talking to the workers and getting a feel for what's going on. And you can learn a lot in the airport by talking to people. And so that's kind of what it is. So basically, this is a short podcast, and I just wanted to describe one of my most recent experiences. And I'm going to have another one soon, and I'll try to maybe give another update if this goes well. But it's doable. So the prices are great. I can get round trip tickets, all the way into Alaska for just a couple $100 now. You can't beat that, and that we may never get those prices again. Outdoors, okay, they're not infected with a virus, right? You're out and outdoors. You're hiking on a trail. You're up a mountain. You're looking at a glacier, even if it's in the wintertime or in the summertime. There's not a lot of people around you. You can avoid people, and if you need to put a mask on to go into your hotel room or order your coffee, go ahead and do it. It's not the end of the world. Do I like wearing a mask? No, I don't. Do I wear it? Sure. Even though I'm negative for COVID, people worry about it. So I do it for more their benefit than for mine. I get tested often enough that I'm always negative. So I'm pretty confident in that. But people, strangers, they don't know that. They don't know that you get tested, almost every 1 to 2 weeks. They don't know that, right? Because they don't know your lifestyle. So, you want to be respectful to others around you that they don't know as much as you do because you travel more often than they do. So just take that in consideration. But for the most part, once you get into Alaska, there is no mandatory mask in Alaska. However, the governor left it up to the businesses to determine how they wanted to do it and enforce it. So hotels, yeah, they want you to have a mask on. Are they overcritical if it drops down, which sometimes mine drops and I don't mean it to, but it does? No, they're not. Do they I think a good rule of thumb is if someone is wearing a mask and they're at a front desk, put your mask on. There's a reason why they're wearing it. A, they're either required to, or B, you're required to, or C, they are concerned about their health, and so you should respect that. But if the person is standing up there and they're not wearing a mask and they're not too worried about it, and you feel you're healthy, and that's up to you to decide, right? Every situation is different. And every state has different rules too, so keep that in mind as well. If I'm back in, say, New Mexico, I'm going to be wearing a mask in every single interaction I'm doing outside, if I'm not outside. If I'm outside, I'm taking my mask off. It's just not healthy, and it'd be dumb to walk around outside in the hot sunshine with a mask on when it's going to kill, and the UV radiation kills germs. So something to keep in mind. So traveling is still doable. Please don't put off, your trips. You might be able to use some of that money that you saved to get a better trip. Hotel prices, short term, they're not very negotiable, but once you arrive at your destination, especially in Alaska, please negotiate with the hotel, okay? And I think that's important because the hotel is there to support you. They do want your business. Now, there is some that could be doing something that you don't like, and that's fine. It's up to you to decide, okay? So my message for today is plan your trips, take your trips, use common sense approach, and please, respect other people. Wear the mask if you need to wear it. Don't be one of those people that's just defiant 100% of the time. People have a right to be concerned about an ongoing health crisis, regardless if you are immune or not, okay? I'm immune, but that might not always be the case. Viruses change, okay? So this is John Gentry, Explore Traveler out. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Spreaker or wherever you're listening to this podcast. And thank you for supporting us.